Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Would you like to speak English more fluently and more confidently? Well, you're exactly where you should be. In today's lesson, we're going to work on 4 different ways in which you can improve your physical fluency so as to produce sounds faster and more smoothly. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andrea Rial, a teacher of English from Argentina. I help pre-intermediate and intermediate adult students speak English more fluently and more confidently. Having said this, let's get started with today's lesson. First of all, let's focus on what physical fluency is. And it says it's the ability to produce sounds and words in a fast and smooth way. Does fast mean that you're supposed to speak quickly all the time? No, the idea of fast here is that you don't get stuck, that you don't stumble over words, and that you can produce those sounds smoothly, yeah, without interruptions. Okay, this aspect of fluency is as important as the mental side of fluency, which is the ability of your brain to find words and structures quickly so as to make up sentences in a smooth way as well. But that other side is merely mental, whereas this one has to do with your mouth, your tongue, your lips, all the parts of your mouth involved in the production of sounds. Okay, you know I love analogies, and in this case, I decided to include the picture of a person doing yoga to identify this aspect of physical fluency when speaking another language. You might be wondering, great, but what's the connection? Okay, let's imagine this situation. You decide to take up yoga lessons, you go to your first class, and you have to copy those poses the teacher does. Do you think you're going to have the necessary flexibility so as to do exactly the same things the teacher does? Perhaps at the very beginning, it's going to be quite demanding. And the same thing happens here with your physical fluency. It's something that needs training. You're not going to start producing sounds from one day to the other. Especially here, we are focusing on those sounds that are different from your first language, those sounds that need training, let's say. So this is the same thing. You need flexibility in your mouth so as to be able to produce new sounds. That's why I decided to include this picture here. Okay, now let's see why it is important to practice this other side of fluency. There are 4 reasons that are really important. The first one is that practicing these and improving your physical fluency will help you feel more confident. It will increase your confidence. Why? Because you will feel you're able to produce the other language's sounds, in this case, English. Yeah, this would apply to any language you want to learn. But of course, in our class, the focus is English. It will also enhance communication effectiveness because you're going to be able to transmit clear messages and you're going to avoid any kind of misinterpretations or even misunderstandings. Of course, it also increases motivation because if you feel you can communicate effectively, that will in turn increase your motivation. You will feel more motivated to get involved in conversations. You will feel more motivated to learn more and more English and, of course, to go on communicating in any aspect of your life, whether it is in your professional life, at work, or when you travel, when you socialize, etc. And there is an extra bonus of focusing or of working on the physical aspect of fluency. It will in turn improve your listening skills. Let me give you a personal example here. When I was a student myself as a teenager, a student of English, I found it quite difficult to do listening exercises, to understand English speakers. And perhaps you might be saying, oh, that's the same thing that happens to me. Well, it was when I studied the teacher training college and I did phonetics 1 that I started understanding English speakers much more. Why? Because in phonetics 1, I had to work with all the different English sounds And I also focused on intonation, on how words work together in a sentence. And that helped me understand English speakers a lot. So this is the, let's say, as I said before, the bonus of working on your physical fluency. Okay, now let's see what you can do to improve it. Please remember to subscribe to my channel to get notifications of all these lessons and to give this video a like if you want to get more and more tips on how to improve your fluency and your confidence. Okay, so the first tip here is to listen to songs and sing. It's not just listen to songs to understand what people are saying, to enjoy music. In this case, you have to sing. You might tell me, Andre, I'm a disaster at singing. It doesn't matter because here we're not going to become better singers, we're going to become better speakers of English. Okay, why is it so important to do this? Because the moment you start singing a song, you are imitating the rhythm the singer is using, you are copying all those connected speech the singer again is using. And by the way, in the comments, I'm going to be leaving the link to one of the lessons I delivered on connected speech techniques to improve your fluency. In that lesson, you're going to work with different techniques English people use when they speak in a natural way and how they connect words to speak more smoothly. The link is going to be, once you finish this lesson, in the comments. Okay, in this case, my suggestion is that you should read the lyrics at the same time you are singing. Because the purpose is not to improve your listening skills. The purpose is not to check your listening understanding of the song, but we have to focus on following the singer. So that's why getting the lyrics would be a fantastic way of doing this exercise. You can use Spotify if you have that application. You can search for the songs on YouTube with the subtitles on, and you practice this. My recommendation is that you start with simple songs. For example, do you know that one by Jason Mraz, Lucky? That is a quite simple song that you can start with so that you can copy the rhythm and the sounds of the language. And then once you feel comfortable with simple songs, you can start using some more demanding ones, okay? I'm also going to be leaving in the comments the link to a Spotify playlist that I have in which you are going to find lots and lots of examples of assimilation. Assimilation is one of those connected speech techniques that I explained in that other lesson I mentioned before. Okay, what else can you do to improve the physical aspect of fluency? You can also do this other technique, which is called speed reading. Okay, what is that? The idea is that you read texts in a loud voice. The thing is that if you choose any text and you start reading that in a loud voice, you really don't know whether you are using the right sounds, whether you're using any of these techniques I mentioned before or not. So whenever I recommend this technique to my students, I also suggest a web page that is called listenaminute.com. I'll be leaving the link in the comments as well, so don't you worry. You will have everything there once this is over. Why do I recommend that web page? Because there are lots and lots and lots of topics, and there are paragraphs in each of those topics, and there is a person reading that text aloud, and it's not a computer, it's a real person. So you can listen to the text first, and then you can give it a try on your own. You can check if you are imitating the sounds, if you're imitating the intonation of the speaker. You can do it in one go. You can listen sentence by sentence, and you could start repeating that. And once you start feeling more and more confident, you can practice this technique, which is called speed reading. Okay, why speed reading? Because you're supposed to check what time or how long it takes you to read that text. And then you should try to do it again and again, taking less and less time you read it. Uh, Bear in mind that this is not a race. You're not supposed to read it in such a way that it's almost impossible to understand. As this webpage is called Listen a Minute, the person reading out loud these texts takes a minute to do it. So you should also try to copy that. Try to see if you can read that same paragraph in a minute. Then, okay, you can repeat this exercise as much as you want. You could change the technique. You could take first the text and read it aloud and check how long it takes you. Then compare that to the recording. It doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you read it in a loud voice and then you start trying to reduce the amount of time it takes. The third technique is connected to this one because it says that it's very, very useful to record yourself. You could record yourself while you are reading these texts I mentioned before, or you could just invent a conversation. You could record yourself while, I don't know, giving a presentation. If you have to give a presentation at work, you could practice by, or you could rehearse by recording yourself, and then listening to that will help you a lot to identify those areas that need improvement. Perhaps those areas in which you kind of get stuck while speaking. If you're taking lessons with a teacher, you could use this technique and send your teacher the recording for her to listen to you and to say where you could improve your sounds or the intonation of a whole sentence. Okay, and last but not least, oh, sorry, before I forget, there's also another web page I'm going to recommend here, which is englishphonetics.net. Again, don't you worry, the link will be in the comments. In this case, with this web page, you can read a sentence. The computer will automatically record that sentence, and then the app, the web page, is going to tell you whether you said that correctly or not. So it's another way of recording yourself. The good thing is that if you happen to mispronounce something, you're going to get like a kind of sentence saying what you had said, or what the computer interpreted by what you had said. So you can do it over and over again and focus on how you have to improve or how you can improve your pronunciation and the physical aspect of fluency. Another good thing of this web page is that you can just use it for a minute, 2, 3, 5. Whenever you have a gap, you could say, okay, now I'm going to work on my physical fluency and I'm going to do this exercise for a couple of minutes. And, okay, last but not least, another thing you can do in order to focus on the physical aspect of fluency is to practice with tongue twisters. Do you know what a tongue twister is? Perhaps the picture here of this guy and his tongue can help you identify what it is. I guess that every single language has tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are phrases or sentences that repeat a sound over and over again, and that's why it becomes difficult, because you might stumble over the repetition of that sound. In general, those phrases or those sentences make no sense because it's just the combination of words to help you practice a specific sound. Okay, let's give it a try. I'm going to show you how you can work on tongue twisters. I have decided to use these two, which are quite famous, let's say, in English. And my recommendation is this. The first time you work with a tongue twister, you have to do it slowly, focusing on each individual word. For example, here it says, she sells seashells by the seashore. And then start doing it faster and faster. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. Okay. In this case, you're practicing two sounds, the sh as in she, shells, shore, and s in cells, sea, okay? In this other one, you're going to be practicing three other sounds. And it says, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? This one is longer and much more challenging. Here I included the picture of a woodchuck for you to identify what this tongue twister is referring to. It is also called groundhog. Perhaps you know this animal by this other name. And in fact, woodchucks chuck dirt when they dig their burrows. They don't chuck wood. That's why here you have like an imaginary situation, a conditional sentence. Okay, let's try to do it faster. What you can do now is to pause the video after I say it and to give it a try, okay? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Faster. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Can you see the training you need in order to repeat these tongue twisters? Again, start by doing this slowly, and then as time goes by, try to increase the speed because you're going to feel this satisfaction of saying, wow, I could pronounce all these English sounds in one go and quite fast. Okay, so let's recap what we have said in this lesson. We focused on the physical aspect of fluency, on this ability to produce sounds in a fast and smooth way, in order to work on this other side of fluency that is sometimes left aside for physical fluency, but which is as important as the mental aspect of fluency. And in this lesson, I've given you 4 different techniques, 4 different ways in which you can work on that physical fluency on your own. First of all, we said it's really useful to listen to songs and sing. If you don't sing, you are not going to be practicing the physical aspect of fluency. You must do that. Whether you do it in the shower, whether you do it while you're cooking, it doesn't matter. Remember that you can use the lyrics. It's not that you have to memorize a song. If you're singing a song that you already know, perfect. Yeah, you don't need to take a look at the lyrics. But the moment you start trying with new songs, okay, do grab the lyrics and sing together with the singer. Another technique we mentioned was this one, to practice speed reading. Speed reading because you're supposed to read aloud and you have to check how long it takes you to read whatever you choose to read, and you have to try to do it in less time as time goes by. Remember, I recommended this very, very useful webpage, listenaminute.com, in order to have ideas, okay, what you can read, and you have a person reading that same text, and you know that the average time would be a minute to do it. Then we said, what about recording yourself? Perhaps when you're practicing speed reading or any other time in which you're using English. Whereas you are having a real conversation and perhaps you decide to start recording yourself with your phone, or whether you are rehearsing for a presentation, for a class, etc. Okay, the good thing about this technique is that you will be able to identify those areas that need improvement, those areas of physical fluency. We're not focusing here on structures, on vocabulary, but specifically on physical fluency. And last but not least, you can have a lot of fun while practicing all these techniques or all these sounds with a tongue twister. If you Google tongue twisters in English, you're going to find many of them. And if you want to perhaps listen to it first, you can also find lots of videos on YouTube of tongue twisters being read aloud. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. Please give this lesson a like if you have. Tell me in the comments which technique you're going to start using to improve the physical aspects of fluency. Remember to subscribe to my channel so as to support these lessons. to get instant notifications whenever I upload a video. And I also invite you to visit me on my Instagram page, Andrea Rial, okay? You will get there lots of tips to improve your English fluency and confidence with short videos, with very useful tips. So follow me on my Instagram page as well. And okay, have a wonderful day. Take care and see you again next Wednesday on our next English lesson on YouTube. Bye-bye.